Unfortunately, we have presented this as a book on code of conduct. And it has been conditioned. We all have been conditioned in last over 100 years to look at it only as a book which tells you the code of conduct, how one should behave and how one should not behave. The whole spirituality of it, which is so rich, and it carries the echoes of our Bharatiya Adhyatma, Indian spirituality, is played down. So much so, without meaning anything to our first speaker, she also called it a great literary work. Yes, no doubt about it. It's a great literary work. Masterpiece. But somehow, Professor Velraj said it is the root of our Indian culture. But somehow we feel shy of talking about spirituality. It's the source of our spirituality. Why? This conditioning, which began in the colonial period, it persists. One of the first person who came and translated this Thirukkural was G.U. Pope. Now, when I say, some people take offense to that, and noises are made. You cannot suppress the truth by noise. We must understand what damage G.U. Pope has done and what was his mission in India. You know, in 1813, the British Parliament had passed a law. It is called India Charter Act 1813. You are all intelligent people, well-read people. I urge you to look into it. India Charter Act of 1813. This act of British Parliament mandates the British government, East India Company, everyone, to evangelize India. This was a clear mandate given by the British Parliament to the East India Company and all the people associated with it and the British government, that their job is to evangelize India. And in this background, people like G.U. Pope and Bishop Caldwell, they came. He was a member of SPG, Society for Promotion of Gospel. He came and besides learning Tamil language, he started translating that sacred text of this place. And in this translation, he de-spiritualizes it. He plays it down. The very first Kural, when it talks about Adi Bhagavan is an expression understood in any Indian languages. Tell in Malayalam, Kannada, Bangla, Assamese, Punjabis, Hindi. Any language you say Adi Bhagavan, everyone understands it is a supreme God. But what is the word he used? When G.U. Pope used, he called it primal deity. Every primitive society has its deity. Whichever society you go in any of the tribal area, any part of it you go, every society has every primitive society has its own set of deities. So calling it primal deity, why didn't he call it God? Because he knew God. He could have called it God. We still believe, we all respect God. We all pray to God. But he didn't use the word God. He used the word primal deity. Language is very powerful. It gets rooted in you. Basically trying to underplay the civilization. Basically try to underplay the spiritual evolution of the people of this place. Great Thiruvallur has used different expressions for gods in different Kurals. At some places, in the area where he talks about renunciation, sannyas, he calls them, when he says that even those who have dissolved their ego goes to the loka, which is not even attainable for gods, he used the word vanor. He has different expression for gods. Adi Bhagavan is Adi Bhagavan. But Jew Pope calls him a primal deity. I wonder how it has not struck to any of us. And subsequently, this de-spiritualized Thirukkural has been used for political purposes by people for their vested interest. By people, those who don't believe in God. It became a handy translation. And since then, we have made statues of Thiruvallur. We pay floral tribute to him because Thiruvallur lives in the heart of our people. Every Tamil person, he lives in the heart. He's so dear. He cannot be ignored. So, you hijack him. And hijack him in a de-spiritualized manner, where you reduce it to a code of conduct. I think this is not being fair. Thirukkural has to be restored in its full glory.